This is the Bigme B251 all-in-one PC. I've been waiting for this for a long time. I think I bid on this originally in the Kickstarter campaign about half a year ago. I think it was back in October. And it's finally arrived. This is the world's first Kaleido 3 color e-ink all-in-one PC. There's been color monitors that have been released previous to this. That was from Daesung, and that came out about a month or so earlier. And then previous to that, there's been black and white e-ink monitors, but this is the first to have both a color Kaleido 3 e-ink monitor as well as the all-in-one PC. I think I'm one of maybe 9 people that ended up bidding on this. So it'll be interesting to see how many YouTube videos pop up over the next week or so. But I'm one of them. So I just want to go over this real quickly. Then we'll spend some time kind of putting it together. We'll start it up, take a quick look at that in terms of this video. And then in future videos, I hope to go a little bit more in depth in terms of the aspect of it as a monitor, the aspect of it as an all-in-one PC, and then maybe other things that can be done with the device. It's called the B251 because B presumably for Bigme. The 25 is related to the screen size, which is actually 25.3 inches. So I'm assuming the 1 just means it's the first iteration of that. The monitor itself is right here. This came in its own box. This is the actual box that it shipped in. And you can see some of their specifications and use cases listed here on this labeling on the outside of the package. All the other things you see are items that shipped in a separate box. In fact, it came via DHL, and the delivery guy first dropped off this stuff and then drove away. And I didn't realize what had happened until he was gone. I assumed that maybe this was on a different truck and was going to come on a different day. Actually, it turned out it was on his truck. He caught his mistake about 10 minutes later, came back. We both laughed about it. But kind of an interesting bit there. But what we have in this other package are things like you've got the stand. This is the base of the stand. This is the actual stand itself. I think those are the materials that they'll use to assemble these things. I ordered separately this kind of wall mount, so this doesn't normally come with it, but it was just $25 in the Kickstarter campaign, so it seems like a nice simple wall mount. And then in addition to that, you have the keyboard and the mouse. Pretty basic looking mouse, and the keyboard itself is amazingly flat, so it'll be curious to see how well this works. Very minimal keyboard. All right, so we'll take a look at that. Now, e-ink fundamentally is best for things like reading and for writing. It does an amazing job, in my opinion, of being superior to books. Not everyone would agree with that, but that's certainly my perspective. Or better than writing on pieces of paper. And I used to have an office that was filled with Post-it notes and things written on printer paper, as well as writing pads. And those are all gone now that I use an e-ink device for note-taking. And that's been true for me for a number of years now. But e-ink is trying to go beyond that. And of course we know e-ink as well in terms of great signage. But it's trying to expand in other areas. And this is an example of that. Does it make sense to have an e-ink all-in-one PC? There's a lot of questions about that, a lot of questions about the practicality of it in a world filled with really good LCD or OLED monitors. Does this actually kind of make sense? And that's what we're going to explore in the series of videos that will start here, and then we'll go on from there. But it's definitely on the outer edge of what e-ink is currently doing. And that's one of the things I'm definitely fascinated by. What are the compromises? And how well does this overcome those? And then maybe what are the benefits that perhaps aren't apparent? That's another thing we'll be looking at. But this is just the beginning. We're going to assemble it here, unpack the final elements, assemble the monitor, take a quick look, and then subsequent videos will delve deeper. But that's the basic idea that I'll be exploring through these series of videos. All right, with that, let's go ahead and start taking this apart and putting it together.
what did happen to the last 10? I ran away with my life, fast forward, never turn back again. It's kind of funny that the more we pass time, the more we need to set them rewind. And 19 was the year I had to leave you, but now I'm seeing all the signs. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. I sit here looking for an answer. Maybe the biggest question was in the last chapter. You gave me the soul I have today. Without you I never could have moved away. But now I see what you teach. I do believe I always should have stayed. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours again. One day I'll be yours. One day I'll be yours. One day I'll be yours. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life lessons come one in a dozen. The other 11 give something from nothing. Life changes just open the door. One thing's certain, I'll always be yours. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours. Yeah. Is this really happening? I can't believe it's true. I'm just as surprised as you. Is this really happening? I can't be too sure, but one day I'll be yours.
Okay, so just a few comments before we start looking at the monitor in close-up. The first thing is that sequence that we just went through in fast time actually took place over 10 minutes. So that gives you a sense of how easy it is to assemble this thing. And I didn't even look at any of the instructions. I just put those off to the side. So very intuitive, no tools were required. Now, I went fairly quickly in showing some of the pieces of it, and you might have noticed that there were a number of cables, actually 6 cables that comes with this all-in-one PC, and that's not even counting the power cable. And I'll just kind of read off those. There's an HDMI to HDMI cable. There's an HDMI to mini HDMI cable, a DisplayPort to DisplayPort cable, and then finally a USB-A to USB-B. Now let me pause there for a second. When I go onto the website, those are the cables that are indicated that are available if you are to go out and purchase this all-in-one PC now. I mention that because mine came with a couple additional cables, and that may just be because it was part of the Kickstarter campaign, because they weren't listed on the website. And those cables were a DisplayPort to USB-C and then a USB-C to USB-C. So it comes with a lot of cables. Now, because this is an all-in-one PC, you don't actually need to use any of those cables. Most of those are really relevant if you're using this device as a monitor for another computer. But if you're just using this as an all-in-one computer, then the only cable you need is the power cable. All right, let's start taking a closer look at this all-in-one PC. Okay, taking a close look at the ports on the computer. We've got two USB-C ports here. We've got an HDMI port there, a mini HDMI port, a display port. You've got your vanilla USB-A ports, 3 of those, a USB-B port, and then your power adapter. I'll also draw your attention to this lock right here. It's currently on the lock position, but if you were to flip that up, particularly if you had the monitor in a horizontal position, then you can take it off of the mount fairly easily. So this is the monitor at its highest position. It can rotate either way, full 90 degrees, like so. It could also go the other way as well. It can pivot from left to right. And it can also tilt up and tilt down. And then this is the lowest position for the monitor. So it's very flexible, a lot of options in terms of how the monitor is angled. Okay, so I've taken about 25 minutes roughly to get everything initiated, logging into Windows, installing updates. Windows did load my profile, which means it didn't necessarily load all the apps that I have, but it loaded shortcuts to those apps. So again, 25 minutes, almost a half an hour to go through that process, and that was a very Windows process, so there wasn't much to show. But I do want to make an observation. The keyboard that comes with this computer, which is this guy right here, has no USB dongle. The mouse does. It was very difficult to get out, but I was able to get that dongle out. And the reason why this is important is because the Bluetooth capability of the computer isn't available until you go through the setup process, and that includes typing in things like your passwords, to the Wi-Fi, to your Microsoft account, etc. So you can't do that with this keyboard. So this was a fundamental flaw in the design of this product, because the only way I got through it is I had another keyboard which did have a USB dongle, and that's what got me through that. So that's a little bit of a misstep there on Bigme's part. But thankfully I had the keyboard, and so I was able to get through it. In fact, I probably could have done it a little bit quicker than 25 minutes, now that I kind of factor that in. Anyway, we're looking at, but it's all set up now, and we're looking at the computer in its off mode. So I'm going to go ahead and use the remote to turn this on, and let's take a look. All right, there we go. Go ahead and log in. My PIN. Okay, there we go. So this is the wallpaper that Microsoft loaded up for me, and so now you get a sense of what images look like on this Kaleido 3 screen. Now I do want to point out that the distance from the screen to the camera is about 15 inches. I think this is a little bit closer than I would normally sit to my monitor. In fact, I measured myself where I normally sit to this monitor, which is behind the Bigme monitor, and that was about 27 inches. So I'm quite a bit closer than that. And so the result of that is that you may pick up a little bit more graininess if you also sit like I do, a little further away from the screen. So you might see more graininess as a result by being a little bit closer, but you definitely get a better sense of the image having it more inside the frame. Okay, let's go ahead and just kind of take a look at a few things to see how this device operates. I do want to point out that there are buttons along the side of the monitor. I didn't make note of that before, and you can't make it out, but there's just barely, you can see there's, you can't on the camera, but I can barely see the outlines of icons along the side here. These are really fundamentally illegible, and I find that these buttons are kind of, they're not easy to navigate anyway, at least in the sense that I'm not familiar with the menus. But thankfully, I'm finding that using the remote is very effective, and kind of overcomes having to use these buttons. So I'm glad that this remote is available. And there is one button that I don't think is on the remote, which is useful, which is this top button is a refresh button. So if I click on this, there we go, we just did it there, it refreshes the screen. So if I have some ghosting I want to get rid of, then I can press that button. Let's go ahead and go into Windows, or rather Edge, and we'll launch that. Take a look at what web pages look like. So this is basically the Microsoft kind of home screen on Edge. I'm just going to go ahead and scroll through here just to give a sense of how the images look and how the scrolling looks. Now, there's different modes that you can use in working with the device. I'll explore those in detail in future videos, but for now, it's I think it's on web mode, which allows for scrolling, but it does reduce the image quality a bit. So right now, there is no front lighting. All the lighting that we have is from the ring light. So let's go ahead and turn on that front lighting and just kind of take a look and see what that looks like. So this is the cold lighting. We'll crank that all the way up. I'm not actually sure how to get down to the other lighting. So I'll have to figure that out. But there's a warm lighting as well as cold lighting. Right now I can only seem to control the cold lighting. And so now it's on full strength. So you can see some of the details a little bit better. Let's go ahead and click on one of these articles. Take a look at the text there as we scroll through. And again, I'm just trying to give a sense, initial sense. We'll look a lot more at this monitor over the coming videos, but this is just to give a little bit of a taste. Let's go ahead and go into YouTube and get a sense of the speakers. So we'll go ahead and pick, we'll pick this Guillermo at the Oscars. Here. Okay, don't seem to be getting any sound.
Platform that did that other than words. Hi, I'm Liv. I run Double Bricks, a print and design studio in Brighton, UK.
See if we can skip
I
this
choose
ad.
Wix for my business because of its massive scope. So
what are you wearing? I'm wearing Dolce & Gabbana. Oh, Dolce & Gabbana? Gabbana with a G. Gabbana? Gabbana. You know what I'm wearing? Target with T. Target. You know how to say Oppenheimer in Spanish? No, I don't. Oppenheimer. You wouldn't have.
All right, with that out of the way. So you get a sense of the speakers. You know, I think they're pretty standard for a monitor speaker, which is to say not particularly great. A little bit on the tinny side, and not a lot of bass, but certainly good enough that you can discern what folks are saying. The image, my initial impressions of the image is that it's okay. I've seen a little bit better videos when I look at Kaleido 3 devices, like I'm looking at a Books device, or even a Bigme, the Eink Note Color Plus. So on this particular monitor, you know, the images definitely are suffering a little bit more. Getting a lot of refreshes right now, and I'm not sure what's triggering that. Let me click the refresh button. So yeah, there's a lot of aspects of the monitor I have to get comfortable with and understand kind of how it operates. Just as you're seeing this kind of for the first time, I've actually am as well. So I'm going to have to spend a lot of time with this device to really kind of understand its behavior and how to kind of optimize that experience. But this is a sense of basically how it works. Let me do one more website. I'm going to go ahead and go over here to Brinklink. You'll notice that the mouse is a little bit choppy. And in fact, hold on a second. This is really choppy. So I'm sensing that the monitor has gone into a different mode. So let's take a look and see what we've got. Yeah, so we're in image mode. Let's go over to web mode. Like so. And we should see a smoother, it's still a little choppy, but it's smoother than what we had before. So the modes really are going to matter in terms of the performance of the monitor. Let's go ahead and click on this Brinklink icon, like so. And just look at some of these Lego designs. You get a sense of the colors and how well the monitor can pick up detail. See a little bit of ghosting up here. Again, if I press, you see it right there and down there. If I press this button, that should go away. It does. Let's scroll down. Again, we're in web mode, so it works pretty good. You get good scrolling, pretty good colors, relative to Kaleido, of course. Kaleido is limited to about 4,000 colors. So there's definitely limitations in the color accuracy in particular. But given that, it still does a pretty good job, I think. And you can certainly see some graininess. But it's very obvious what each object is, and the colors stand out. So there's definitely both pros and cons to this technology. That's a nice one. You get a sense of the colors there with this rainbow dot art. Okay, so that's going to basically do it for now. Again, this is a little bit of an introduction for both myself as well as for you about this particular device. I'm going to delve in the next video much deeper into its aspect as a monitor. So I hope to see you there. Until then, I will see you next time.